In the vast bureaucratic nightmare that was the Galactic Classification Bureau, there existed a special department dedicated to categorizing the countless worlds across the universe. This department, staffed by beings who had elevated paperwork to an art form, was responsible for determining which planets were suitable for galactic citizenship and which were, to put it in their technical terminology, absolutely not happening. The process was meticulous, methodical, and mind-numbingly dull. Planets were rated on a scale from Class 1, paradise worlds with weather so perfect it was frankly suspicious, to Class 15, literal hellscapes where even atoms questioned their life choices. The galaxy's most prestigious civilizations hailed from the cushy Class 2 and Class 3 worlds, where the most dangerous thing one might encounter was an unexpected rain shower or perhaps a mildly upset herbivore. And then there was Earth, beautiful, terrifying, contradiction-filled Earth. Class 12 Deathworld, the classification had read, followed by so many warning symbols that the document resembled a danger-themed art project. Extreme gravitational forces, lethal atmospheric composition, catastrophic weather patterns, tectonic instability, and indigenous species with an inexplicable tendency toward violence. The classification officers, mostly spindly beings from Class 2 worlds with exoskeletons that could be cracked by a strong sneeze, had been particularly disturbed by Earth's wildlife documentation. One officer had reportedly needed 3 cycles of therapy after viewing footage of something called a honey badger. Another had resigned on the spot after researching Australian wildlife, claiming they needed to reconsider their career choices. What particularly baffled the Bureau was that humans, the dominant species of this nightmare planet, seemed utterly unconcerned by their Deathworld status. They swam in massive bodies of water containing countless predators. They climbed frozen mountains for fun. They kept venomous creatures as study specimens and occasionally as companions. They ingested substances that would liquefy the organs of most galactic citizens and called it hot sauce. For centuries, the Bureau had a simple policy regarding Earth: observe from a distance, file the reports, and under no circumstances make contact. This worked splendidly, until humans, in their characteristic fashion, decided to violate protocol by developing faster-than-light travel roughly 3 centuries ahead of the Bureau's schedule. When humans burst onto the galactic scene, loud, curious, and alarmingly durable, the more delicate species nearly had collective cardiac events. Emergency meetings were held. Protocols were hastily established. Diplomatic corps underwent intensive training on how to interact with beings that could survive radiation levels that would turn most galactic citizens into puddles. Against all odds and most recommendations, Earth was reluctantly granted probationary status in the Galactic Commonwealth. The general consensus was that it was safer to keep humans where they could be monitored rather than let them roam unsupervised through the cosmos. And so, humans entered galactic society, cheerfully oblivious to the fact that most species viewed them as walking disaster zones with alarmingly resilient internal organs and disturbing pain tolerance. Integration was awkward at best, with most alien species maintaining a safe distance of at least 3 meters from any human, lest they be accidentally crushed by what humans considered a friendly pat on the back. If only the galaxy had known that humans themselves were the least of their worries, because humans, in all their Deathworld-adapted wisdom, had brought friends. The Galactic Xenobiological Exchange Program was established with noble intentions, to foster cross-species understanding through the controlled sharing of non-sentient life forms from member worlds. In practice, it was the galactic equivalent of a very cautious elementary school show and tell, conducted with the bureaucratic enthusiasm of a tax audit. Representatives from Class 2 and Class 3 worlds displayed their homeworld flora with solemn pride. The Zorians brought their prized floating luminous jelly plants, which hovered gently and changed colors based on ambient emotional frequencies. The Melbatrons showcased their harmony beetles, which arranged themselves in mathematically perfect formations while humming in 12-part harmony. The Quicks delegation presented their sympathy slugs, which secreted a mild euphoric that made everyone feel slightly better about having to sit through yet another xenobiology presentation. Then the human delegation requested permission to present an example of Earth fauna. The resulting emergency committee meeting lasted 16 standard hours. "They want to bring a what?" demanded Senior Administrator Clicksticks, his 17 sensory appendages quivering with alarm. "A cat, sir," replied his assistant, consulting the human submission form. "Specifically, a domestic house cat. According to their documentation, it's a small predatory mammal commonly kept in human dwellings for companionship." "Let me get this straight." Clicksticks's voice raised to octaves the human ear couldn't perceive. "The Deathworlders want to bring a predator to our exchange program, a carnivorous life form that they keep in their homes." After much debate and the consumption of vast quantities of calming supplements, the committee reached a compromise. The humans could present their cat, but only under the strictest security protocols, usually reserved for highly radioactive materials or particularly aggressive tax collectors. Dr. Ren Ao, Earth's foremost xenobiologist and the human representative to the exchange program, found the whole situation hilarious. A veteran of first contact scenarios and interspecies diplomacy, he had suggested a house cat precisely because it was among Earth's least threatening creatures. He had even chosen his own pet, a 7-year-old orange tabby named Noodle, specifically for its placid temperament. "You understand the security protocols, Doctor?" "AO?" asked the security chief, a massive Tharian whose exoskeleton had been reinforced specifically for this assignment. "Completely," Ren replied, maintaining a straight face despite the absurdity of being surrounded by 6 armed guards to transport a carrier containing a sleeping cat. "Though I think the biohazard containment field might be overkill." "We've researched your cats, Doctor," the security chief said gravely. "We know they possess needle-like protrusions on their extremities, toxic bacteria in their oral cavities, and can accelerate from rest to attack speed in milliseconds. He mostly sleeps 18 hours a day and occasionally attacks shoelaces," Ren muttered. But the chief wasn't listening. Noodle, for his part, seemed supremely uninterested in his newfound status as a diplomatic incident waiting to happen. Curled into an orange ball of fluff inside his carrier, he occasionally opened one eye to regard the proceedings with magnificent disdain before returning to his nap. His round face, with its squashed features and perpetually unimpressed expression, betrayed nothing of the supposed predatory instincts that had the entire Xenobiology Committee on high alert. As they entered the presentation chamber, a reinforced auditorium that had been cleared of anything remotely breakable, flammable, or theoretically edible, Ren noticed the observation gallery was packed. Word had spread about the dangerous Earth predator being unveiled, and nobody wanted to miss the spectacle. Most alien species were watching from behind protective barriers, environmental suits, or, in the case of the particularly anxious Melbatrons, from remote viewing stations in the next building. "Ladies, gentlemen, and non-binary sentients of the Galactic Commonwealth," Ren announced to the tense audience, "I present to you one of Earth's most common companion animals, Noodle, the domestic cat." The demonstration chamber had been retrofitted with security measures that would have made a military installation look like a playground. Laser tripwires crisscrossed the floor at strategic intervals. Reinforced transparent barriers separated the viewing area from the containment zone. Automated defense turrets, allegedly loaded with non-lethal suppressants, though no one had specified non-lethal to whom, tracked any movement larger than a dust particle. 3 different species of emergency response teams stood by, each with their own culturally specific version of has-gear and what appeared to be very large nets. "Is all this really necessary?" Wren asked the head of security, who was currently triple-checking the integrity seals on the containment field. "According to our threat assessment team, your cat possesses multiple natural weapons, retractable claws, specialized teeth for severing vital vessels, enhanced night vision, and the ability to vocalize at frequencies that cause neurological distress in certain species," replied the security chief, dead serious. "And that's before we account for its jumping capability." Wren bit his lip to keep from laughing. "Yes, he can jump onto counters and knock things off. It's terrifying." "We've prepared for projectile attacks," the chief assured him grimly. After 20 minutes of safety briefings, during which the audience was instructed on proper evacuation procedures should the Earth predator breach containment, Wren was finally permitted to open Noodle's carrier. The entire audience collectively held whatever passed for breath among their diverse spiritory systems. Noodle, completely unimpressed by the dramatic build-up, remained stubbornly inside the carrier. "Come on, buddy," Wren coaxed, kneeling beside the open door. "Show time." Noodle blinked slowly, yawned with magnificent indifference, and proceeded to groom his left hind leg with meticulous attention to detail. "As you can see," Wren addressed the audience, "the domestic cat is cleaning itself. This behavior occupies approximately 30 to 40% of their waking hours." A nervous murmur rippled through the crowd. The head xenobiologist, a Zorian with translucent skin that currently displayed its racing circulatory system in impressive detail, raised a trembling appendage. "This constant cleaning, is it to remove the blood of its victims? Or perhaps to eliminate toxins absorbed during hunting?" "He's just a bit of a neat freak," Wren replied. "Cats are very clean animals." "Fascinating," the xenobiologist whispered furiously, taking notes. "The predator camouflages its lethal nature behind ritualistic cleansing behaviors." After 5 more minutes of steadfast refusal to exit the carrier, Noodle finally deigned to emerge, stretching languorously, first extending his front legs, then arching his back, and finally extending his hind legs one at a time in a yoga-like pose that caused several security officers to reach for their weapons. "Standard stretching behavior," Wren explained quickly, "not a prelude to attack." Noodle surveyed his new surroundings with casual disinterest, tail swishing slowly. He padded across the demonstration floor, his movements liquid and precise, occasionally pausing to sniff at particularly interesting sections of the pristine surface. "As you can observe," Wren continued his presentation, "domestic cats move with remarkable grace, a testament to their evolution as mid-sized predators on Earth. However, their predatory behaviors have been significantly modified through thousands of years of domestication." Noodle chose this exact moment to flop onto his side, roll onto his back, and expose his fluffy belly to the ceiling, with his legs splayed in 4 different directions. The audience gasped. "Is it deceased?" asked a concerned voice from the observation deck. "No, he's just relaxing," Wren explained. "This belly-up position is actually a sign of trust." "And the belly is a trap!" shouted a Melbatron researcher, clearly well-versed in Earth feline behavior. "Do not approach the belly! It's a classic ambush pouch technique." For the next 20 minutes, Noodle proceeded to demonstrate the breathtaking range of a house cat's daily activities: sleeping, more sleeping, changing sleeping positions, half-heartedly batting at a toy Wren had brought, grooming again, and gazing with existential contemplation at a wall. The tension in the room had begun to ease. Several brave xenobiologists had moved closer to the barriers, their scientific curiosity overcoming their fear. A few were even taking comparative notes on Noodle's behavior versus their own world's small mammals. Then it happened. A tiny maintenance drone, no larger than a ping-pong ball, hummed softly into the demonstration area to check an environmental sensor. Noodle's entire demeanor transformed in an instant. His pupils dilated to full black orbs. His ears pivoted forward. His previously relaxed body coiled into a compact mass of focused energy. "Oh no," Wren muttered. Noodle launched himself from a standstill, a full aerial trajectory with no warning. His graceful body became an orange blur as he intercepted the drone mid-air with surgical precision, front paws extended, claws deployed. The observation room erupted into chaos. Alarms blared. Emergency lights flashed. Several xenobiologists fainted outright. A Qui diplomat attempted to climb a wall. The security chief was shouting contradictory orders through the comm system. Someone had activated the emergency decontamination protocol, releasing a fine mist throughout the observation deck that mixed with the haze of defensive pheromones being frantically released by multiple species. And in the center of the containment area, Noodle sat calmly, batting the now disabled drone between his paws, looking immensely pleased with himself. In the aftermath of what became known as the Noodle incident, the galactic xenobiological community descended into a frenzy of research, speculation, and increasingly outlandish theories about Earth's domestic apex predators. The fact that Wren repeatedly explained that cats were neither apex predators nor particularly dangerous seemed to only convince the researchers that humans were either suicidally brave or completely oblivious to the death machines they shared their homes with. The preliminary report on house cats, compiled by a joint research team, read like the fevered notes of conspiracy theorists who'd consumed too many stimulants. The Earth cat, Felis catus, represents an evolutionary pinnacle of, Chen admitted. We need to show them cat videos. Chen stared blankly. You want to solve this diplomatic catastrophe with internet cat videos? Trust me, Wren insisted. It's the only way they'll understand. With nothing left to lose, the human diplomatic team arranged for a special presentation to the Galactic Council, billing it as essential cultural context for human-feline coexistence, a visual study. The council members, still wary after the Noodle incident, but scientifically curious, agreed to attend. Wren prepared a carefully curated selection from Earth's most extensive cultural archive. Millions of cat videos spanning centuries of human-feline companionship, from cats getting startled by cucumbers to cats misjudging jumps, from cats knocking things off shelves to cats getting stuck in ridiculous places. The compilation represented the full spectrum of feline behavior in all its chaotic glory. The presentation began in intense silence. The first video, a classic of a cat methodically pushing items off a counter while maintaining eye contact with its owner, elicited gasps of horror. As you can see, Wren explained, this behavior is so common among cats that humans have documented it extensively. We don't fear it, we find it, he searched for the diplomatic term, endearing. More videos played, a cat attacking a printer, a cat getting its head stuck in a tissue box, a cat startling itself with its own reflection. Gradually, something remarkable happened. A Zorian delegate made a sound that their translator rendered as a chuckle. A Melbatron whispered, it miscalculated the jump distance, with something approaching delight. Even a Qui representative leaned forward, entranced by footage of a kitten battling a ball of yarn twice its size. For thousands of years, Wren continued, gaining confidence, humans have shared their homes with these small, sometimes destructive, often unpredictable creatures, not because they're useful, but because we find joy in their company. They remind us not to take ourselves too seriously. A particularly captivating sequence of a cat frantically chasing a laser pointer across walls and furniture had the entire council transfixed. "The predator cannot catch the light?" asked the Safarian representative, their particles swirling in what Wren recognized as confusion. "No," Wren replied with a smile, "but it never stops trying. That's what we admire about them." The turning point came unexpectedly when the chief elder of the Qui Consortium, a being known for their stoic demeanor and rigid adherence to protocol, suddenly emitted their species' equivalent of laughter at footage of a kitten falling asleep face first in its food bowl. "I require one of these creatures," the elder announced to the shocked silence of the entire council, "for scientific observation." "That would be irregular, Elder Zieglet," objected a Melbatron diplomat. "These are classified as dangerous." "Look at it," interrupted the elder, as the screen showed a cat stuck in a vase, looking simultaneously confused and dignified. "It is both graceful and ridiculous, deadly yet adorable. It contains contradictions that mirror the universe itself." Wren exchanged a hopeful glance with Director Chen. The elder's influence could sway the entire council, and for the first time since the Noodle incident, Earth might have a fighting chance at galactic redemption. 3 standard months after the infamous Noodle incident and subsequent crystal catastrophe, the Galactic Council passed Resolution CRT 729, officially classifying domestic house cats as protected Class 10 predators with diplomatic immunity. This unprecedented designation acknowledged both their potential danger and their cultural significance to humanity, while also conveniently absolving the cats themselves of any responsibility for diplomatic incidents they might cause. "They break things of immeasurable value and face no consequences," mused one Zorian delegate. "Perhaps they truly are the most evolved beings in the galaxy." Against all odds and most xenobiological safety protocols, cats became unexpected ambassadors for humanity throughout galactic society. The Qui Elder, true to their word, adopted a pair of Siamese kittens who quickly established themselves as the actual rulers of the consortium. The Melbatrons established a cat behavior research institute, which primarily consisted of scientists watching cats sleep for thousands of hours and taking exhaustive notes. Even the Safarians, after receiving a formal apology and a modest reparation package, only 3 planetoids instead of 14, developed a specialized molecular configuration that allowed them to pet cats without dispersing in alarm. Noodle himself, the catalyst for this unlikely interspecies understanding, received the unprecedented honor of a permanent visa to visit any world in the Commonwealth. Wren found his xenobiological expertise suddenly in high demand as the galaxy's foremost authority on feline behavior,